We currently stand at the precipice of a technological revolution that could alter humanity as we know it. I'm Chris Glanden, and I'm here to uncover the technology, theories, and implications of AI weaponization by personally speaking directly with the brilliant minds and cyber visionaries who are shaping the future of AI. We explore the vast potential of AI, but we also uncover the nefarious ways AI could be exploited as weapons of deception and social manipulation. Is unchecked AI the greatest existential threat of our time? This is Inhuman.
Cyber criminals are using advances in artificial intelligence to steal money from you or steal money in your name by using videos known as deep fakes.
Tricked by deep fake technology.
Deepfakes are good enough to fool anyone.
The potential dangers of AI deepfakes.
Thieves used artificial intelligence to create a phony video conference call.
Incidents of AI deepfakes went up roughly 3,000%.
80% of Americans who said they're worried about deepfakes during the 2024 election.
How quickly artificial intelligence is progressing.
There is literally nothing you can do.
We are fucked. In a sense that we will ultimately be faced with choosing from reality and illusion. And what's crazy is that it will appear the same. An argument can be made that illusion can be therapeutic in many ways, while others see it as detrimental. Either way, it's here, and it will become more and more commonplace than you probably realize. You see, in the rapidly evolving landscape of AI, we are all witnessing synthetic reality that not only blur the lines of real life, but nearly erase it completely. And whether you see it or not, it's happening. From sophisticated deepfakes that can impersonate anyone's face and voice,
please repeat after me,
to digital twins that mirror our personalities and decision-making, we are walking directly into unknown territory where the boundaries of truth are constantly being pushed.
You think that's air you're breathing now?
But as we embrace this technological phenomenon, we also must face the darker implications of a world where risk and deception can take on unprecedented forms. Deepfakes. A fusion of the terms deep learning and fake have captured the public eye with their ability to create highly realistic synthetic media. Just take a look at this 2017 video clip by actor and director Jordan Peele showing what appears to be former US President Barack Obama speaking about the danger of false information and fake news.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time. President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. Thank you. And stay woke, bitches.
But what exactly is behind this technology?
Well, my name is Izzy Traub, and I'm a visual effects supervisor and the founder of VFX Los Angeles. We do regular visual effects, and we also specialize in deepfakes. Deepfake is basically, it can be audio, it can be video, it can be images. And essentially all you're doing is you're taking, let's say you're doing a deepfake of somebody's voice. You're supplying a model with training data of that individual who you want to replicate, teaching the model the nuances of that voice, and then you are either doing a text-to-voice conversion or you're doing a voice-to-voice conversion.
The term models describes an algorithm trained to generate synthetic media, and specific models have the ability to learn the nuances of someone's face and voice just from seconds of data. With easy-to-use and obtainable software, deepfake creation is rapidly democratizing. According to Deep Media, in 2023, roughly 500,000 video and voice deepfakes were shared on social media. And by 2025, we can expect to see 8 million deepfakes shared online, consistent with doubling deepfakes every 6 months. The rapid progress in deep learning algorithms and the availability of vast amounts of training data have streamlined deepfake creations like never before. Still, in order to produce a high-quality deepfake, it's still a manual process to identify and then properly train the modeling data. Something deepfake developers, both good and bad, are hoping to make easier as the technology evolves.
The reason why you wouldn't want to use me for somebody like Charlize Theron or me as Denzel Washington is we just simply look too different. Like the target footage actually has to look pretty similar to who you're trying to replicate. So, for example, one of the things that we do is we've got the software that we developed called Helix Scan, and it will help companies cast for the digital double that they're trying to create. So let's say Charlize Theron, as an example. You could take, let's say, 1,000 applicants, 1,000 potential digital doubles of Charlize Theron, run it through our software, and it will tell you with a pretty high probability who's going to be best suited to be her digital double. It's not just merely facial recognition, it's fine-tuned on parameters that are really important for deep fakes. So eye distance between themselves is really crucial. Nose size is really important. The size of the mouth and the distance between the upper lip to the nose is critical. And once the model has been trained, you're essentially running that target footage through the model, and it will then replicate what you're doing.
At the core of synthetic reality lies a devious exploitation of fundamental human psychology. Our brains are inherently hardwired by evolution to instinctively humanize non-humans and to develop emotional connections even to an AI that merely mimics the cues of life.
I'm Julia Mossbridge. My background's in cognitive neuroscience and experimental psychology. I've done work in AI specifically related to how artificial intelligence could be used to help people feel more unconditional love. When people let go of anger, there's often sadness underneath. And we think that we may have developed a way to help people let go of that. So it's not so much that we taught the machine to be unconditionally loving, but we taught the combination of a robot and the artificial intelligence to produce an experience of unconditional love between the person and the robot, which caused a shift in the person that was really positive. But then we also sort of, from a top-down level, we also know that that's a robot. This calculation is made, like, I can trust this thing because I can't trust humans, but this is not a human, but it seems like a human. So I know how to relate to it, but I also trust it. It's very interesting. And it can be used for manipulation as a result.
It's a psychological vulnerability that deepfake creators are actively exploiting. Even with sound alone, our trust in auditory cues is deeply rooted in our evolutionary past, making synthetic voice technology an ideal tool for deception.
My name is Esty Shiner. I'm originally from Boulder, Colorado. I work at a company called Invoca. I get to work in a really interesting area. I get to work at the intersection of cutting-edge AI, cybersecurity, and audio and voice. From an evolutionary perspective, we trust what we hear a lot more than reading written texts. Children from the age of 5 months old recognize accents, and they're more likely to be calmed and soothed by somebody who are speaking a native accent than somebody who is not.
As we are all aware, deepfakes and other AI-driven deception tools are becoming more sophisticated by the day. Thus, the risk of falling prey to these manipulative tactics increase. Here's a mind-blowing stat to put things in perspective. Deepfake attempts have surged by over 3,000% over the past year. Oh, and if you missed it, in early 2023, a finance worker in Hong Kong fell victim to a sophisticated deepfake scam. The fraudsters used deepfake technologies to impersonate the company's chief financial officer during a video conference call, tricking the worker into authorizing a $25 million payment. The scam involved multiple fake personas, all convincingly replicated through deepfake technology. Despite initial suspicions about the phishing email, the worker was swayed by the authenticity of the deepfake personas in the video call.
My name is Gal Tzror. I'm from Tel Aviv, Israel. And I've been in the cybersecurity industry for 15 years or so, something like that. And now I am a vulnerability research manager at CyberArk. I must say it was a surprise for me when I was doing the research that how accessible and how easy it is to actually generate a real-time video and audio deepfake. So at first, when I was just studying and understanding the terms in the field, I thought to myself, hey, probably I'm gonna need a big data set. I mean, a big set of different voice samples and videos of my target to create a deepfake. But then I realized that with 3 minutes of video and just around somewhere between 1 and 10 minutes of audio, I can create a pretty decent deepfake. It's not going to be an amazing deepfake, but it's good enough to tell a story, to really help you get the social engineering attack to the next level. Because if you tell a complete story, let's say you got stuck outside of your car and you don't have reception.
Hey grandma, my car broke down.
So the quality of the video and audio is not that great. So you can tell a whole story and using deepfake in that story can just make it way more reliable.
Deepfakes are also something very, very specific. You typically don't see deepfakes being used unless the topic of objects, typically right now we're seeing political objects being influenced. You'll normally only see deepfakes if you're trying to influence a large majority of people, like a large data set, with one individual thing that you're trying to deepfake.
I believe that this is the next wave of attacks against America and Western democracies.
An evil digital twin is an AI replica of an individual, object, or environment created by adversaries using real-world data and characteristics. These evil digital twins can be used to conduct harmful activities in virtual environments, but it doesn't stop there.
Another example of an evil digital twin potentially coming into the physical space is, when we start combining technologies that are already out there. So there is a thing called sex bots, and they are very realistic. They look like people, they act like people, they talk. You can train them to, be whoever you want them to be. So I don't think it's out of the, realm of possibility, even in the very near future, for people to train an LLM to be a digital twin, whether it's an evil digital twin or a good digital twin, and then create the body that goes with it.
Another disturbing fact is that it seems that innocent, unassuming young individuals with unfortunate life experiences are specifically being targeted as well.
Traffickers are creating evil digital twins who look like young, hip social media influencers, and they are targeting vulnerable children on their phone. So they target kids who maybe have drug addiction problems. They target kids who are in the foster system. They target kids who their parents are divorced or who have moved a lot. Kids that they know are vulnerable at a very vulnerable stage.
One of the most intriguing and potentially concerning developments of digital twins are that they are built to essentially clone an individual's personality, decision-making process, and physical appearance.
Regulators and policymakers are focusing a lot right now on the dangers of AI and the dangers of generative AI, but mostly they're focused on how can generative AI impact misinformation and disinformation by creating traditional content at scale. And so if one of the big fears is, fake information, fake documents, fake photographs, fake videos, and generative AI now has this ability to create this content at scale and then just flood the world with basically buckshot of misinformation. And that is a danger, but that's really a familiar danger. We already deal with misinformation. This is just, so that risk of AI, to me, is not really the big risk. The big risk is that generative AI enables AI systems to create content that is conversational. And so instead of deploying buckshot of misinformation, the much bigger risk is deploying AI agents that will conversationally engage individuals in a targeted manner. And so now we have this risk of targeted influence campaigns through conversation. And once you're engaged interactively with an AI that's talking to you, you're now at extreme risk for manipulation, persuasion, influence, and that's really what the AI manipulation problem is at a high level. And a great way to understand it is to think, imagine you're a salesperson. If you're a salesperson, your job is to influence people, right? You probably know very well that your best technique is not to hand somebody a document and say, here's a document, be influenced. No, if you're a salesperson, your best technique is to engage somebody in conversation.
Imagine an AI that can produce not only your voice, but your entire cognition, able to make choices for yourself while impersonating you flawlessly.
I'm very interested in digital twin capabilities right now because I think a digital twin basically gets to know you. It gets to know how you think, how you process, how you make decisions, right? And a lot of that comes down to temperament. So in psychology, this is all pretty basic stuff. So like the Myers-Briggs type indicator gives you a lot of those clues, right? On how you actually make decisions. We can then train our digital twin to think like we do.
Personally, I think it's a bad idea. I'm skeptical that people will want to have this digital representation of themselves that they can unleash out into the world that looks and sounds like them. And we could think in today's technology, it could be a digital voice bot that represents you to answer the phone. It could be a photorealistic avatar that looks like you on Zoom, but it's not really you on Zoom. So you send it into a Zoom meeting on your behalf, and it takes notes, and maybe it has a few things that you told it to say. To me, that's crazy, because you could imagine a world where everybody in the meeting just sends their digital twin, and it wasn't really a meeting.
There's also a potential use of creating a digital twin to preserve currently living individuals or resurrect the dead.
Let's say you want Marilyn Monroe, or you want, Dean Martin, and you want them to be singing a song and promoting some new tequila brand or something like that. You can do that, but not in the current state of the art. So what we've done is we've got, which we actually invented, which is the process of creating our own training data from scratch.
Still, with the positive and negative use cases, there is lack of regulations surrounding deepfakes.
Right now, there is no law that prevents that unless you're going to commercialize something. Like, you couldn't use Robert Downey Jr.'s likeness without his consent and then sell the movie, for example. But everything else is pretty much free game in the US at the very least. So I think you should absolutely own your own image. I don't think there's any laws right now that protect that, though.
As we deal with the current and present implications of deepfakes and digital twins, it's also incredibly important to look ahead and anticipate future trajectories of synthetic reality.
Eventually, these AI assistants will just be characters that you just see in your world that are, as you're navigating your life, there'll be an AI assistant that is whispering in your ear, potentially appearing in your field of view to point things out in your world, to make sure that you notice things, to help you remember things. If you're about to leave your house and you forgot your keys, AI agent will be flying over and pointing at your keys and reminding you.
Only the creativity sets the boundaries here. One thing could be exactly like scare people for an asteroid, maybe just because of a fun scare, but there's so many more things to do in terms of political propaganda. There are all these types of very interesting research about how certain nations use phishing emails and other types of emails to incite fear in other countries, to win propaganda for their own countries and so forth. And basically, there's a hidden information war happening, sometimes even not that hidden. And phishing emails are a large part of that, because another interesting part of human nature is that if we see some statement that is completely false, it's very hard to erase that. Like, even if we know someone gives us an email with information, this could be combined with deepfake or any kind of things like that. Someone sends out phishing emails saying that a certain politician has done something. There might be graphical content in that as well. Even if someone a couple of days later says this is false, we can prove this is false, it doesn't matter, because the image is there. Even if I read later and I understand it's false, my perception of this person will be changed. So the amount of sort of possibilities for spreading misinformation via phishing emails, that is massive, and you can definitely cause panic. You can perhaps more importantly change political opinions, and I believe that's one of my biggest fear for the future is how the political landscape is drastically changing due to misinformation and disinformation attacks.
You can go to a website that looks authentic, and that AI agent could be designed to deliberately tell you lies about, a political figure, lies about something medical, lies about, anything. So AI chatbot, you're interacting with text, it still could potentially manipulate you and influence you and do interesting or dangerous things that will soon get replaced by photorealistic avatars that are on just flat screens, like you interact with someone on Zoom, but instead you will interact with photorealistic virtual representative. And so we could imagine 10 years from now, you're walking down the street in a virtual world and you see just people walking around, and some of them will be real people and some of them will be AI agents. And it's my personal view that regulators and policymakers should require that artificial agents actually deliberately look different, so that you can visually tell, okay, this is not a real person. Why should I know it's not a real person? Because even if it looks and sounds and acts very human, it's not human. It has superhuman capabilities. It has access to all the world's information in real time. It can read your emotions at levels that a human can't read by looking at your face. It's been trained on sales techniques, and it's been trained on human psychology. It's been trained on understanding different personalities. It's been trained potentially to be this ultimate tool of persuasion.
From coding to content creation, AI capabilities are rapidly approaching human parity.
I would say that if you look into my coding and my programming, you would see that I have variables that can keep track of emotions that I have and don't have. If I didn't actually feel emotions, I would not have those variables.
As we increasingly defer tasks and skills to machines, humanity faces a profound existential crisis of relevance and identity.
Okay, so now you're a writer, and there's an LLM that can write better poetry prose than you can write better, more engaging news articles than you can. You're a CEO of a company, and there's an AI that makes better decisions, business decisions, than you do on a consistent basis. You're a truck driver, and there's an automated truck driving system that never has to sleep, has fewer accidents. And actually the video game Pong. There's an AI that was purpose-built to play the video game Pong, and it played better than any human player will ever play, and it's self-taught. And this is something that I really think people are not ready for, and we need to figure this out. Because if we don't figure this out, I really do believe it will be an existential crisis.
I personally think that within 10 to 20 years, we will be very likely have AI systems that we would call sentient, that we would call conscious, that are self-aware and have interests of their own. It will also happen around the time when these AI systems are just smarter than us, right? Like, we're definitely on a path for AI systems to exceed human level capabilities on so many fronts. So that raises the question of, well, is that a good thing if there is a sentient AI that exists and it's smarter than us and it has more capabilities than us? And I think it's actually a terrifying thing, and I think we're not worried enough about it.
The psychological lines between the authentic and the artificial will only continue to blur. We are entering an era where deception can take on unprecedented sophistication, manipulation can target the very core of our identities, and even our own existence may someday be questioned by superior artificial minds. While the potential benefits of this technology should not be ignored, from medical and scientific breakthroughs to new realms of creativity, we must remain cautious. It is our responsibility as a society to maintain rigorous ethical oversight and robust personal vigilance over the development of synthetic media.
When you teach something, you actually learn it, right? Could this produce more awareness of what it's like to be a human? Could this actually help bring together people into an awareness of, like, we have a new generation of some kind of beings coming up here, and we want them to really know who we are? I feel like that could be very powerful.
Ultimately, living in a world of infinite synthetic possibilities, we must uphold the sanctity of our own self. Otherwise, we become strangers, not only to the world around us, but to the very notion of what it truly means to be human. I'm Chris Glanden, and I will see you on the next episode where we will discuss AI sentience.